Welcome to White Chair Talk. I'm so excited for this episode because if you are 40, approaching your 50s, I have a warning for you. No one warned me, and I want to warn you. If you're 50 and older, this message is going to be so motivating. It's going to have you want to just leap and just do all things. So I'm going to have to roll up my sleeves because I got to get this warning out. So if you just stick with me, just stay tuned. I'm going to get to the warning. So, White Chair Talk. This episode is so just informational, just going to get your thinking wheels just going. I'm going to talk about this golden age, this golden era. What is it all about? Like, what exactly does it mean? Because I'm going to tell you right now, the things I'm going to say today, no one warned me about, and I wish I would have known. So, the golden era is supposed to symbolize like high value, refinement, strength, and timeliness. That's probably my favorite one. Timeliness, meaning like you're in your right season, the perfect season of your life. So that is what the golden age kind of just summarizes. If you're in your 40s, I'm going to say this. I was not aware. I remember being in my 40s. I still had my children in the house. They were still in school, still picking them up from school, sports, clubs, just the hustle and bustle of school, you know, teaching them how to drive, just all that stuff just had you thinking, it had me thinking that I was still this young buck. Like I was still this young woman. Like I never realized that I, it never dawned on me that, one day my children were not going to be children. Like I wasn't going to be a mother hustling, bustling. It seems like because I had twins, I have four children, but my son, I had him, it was just me and him for 7 years. And then all of a sudden I have these twins and it's just like I went from having two children to four children in one day. That's what it was like. And so I just never imagined just me being, without my children. I always thought I was going to be, I don't know, I always felt like I was going to be a mom of twins, a young mom of twins. But little did I know, man, like I said, I was hustling and bustling, school, juggling my children, juggling family life, juggling my husband. And at that time in my 40s, we had such um, various life events that were taking place all at one time. So I don't know. No one reminded me, no one warned me to prepare myself for after my 40s. What does it feel like to be in that golden age, that golden era? Because if you're not prepared for it, you'll be lost. You'll be lost because you're so focused on raising children. You're so focused on your family. You're so focused on your job. You're so focused of juggling everything and trying to make everything go right. You're striving. You're really kind of surviving out here. Well, I can say that for me. I was kind of surviving and then to throw uh, you know, another thing in it, I was a military spouse. So we were always moving, always picking up, always so emotional every 2 to 3 years, having to leave people and then get a new place and then my kids having to resettle somewhere else. It was just, you didn't have I didn't have the time to think and say, okay, what am I going to do in my life? Like, what is important to me in life outside of this? Like, I was so busy, it just didn't even, it didn't dawn on me. I was just such a busy person that that life just did not dawn on me. So, or me thinking about after that didn't dawn on me. So, like I said, I thought I was such a young lady. And if I could tell you, man, if someone would have reminded me or warned me, I would have definitely resigned. I would have resigned from putting myself, just the striving with the kids and the school and the work and I mean, I know everybody does it. I know everybody does it, but man, because we also move, it was just a different situation. And when I say resign, I would have like sat back and thought about, okay, where is my life going? Because one day these little babies are not going to be in my house. They're going to grow up and they're going to do their own thing and they're going to be out the house. And then where am I after that? Where do I see myself? That thought never occurred to me. That thought never occurred because I thought that it would just, I don't know. I just thought that it was just going to be with me all the time. So I want to say when I hit 50, when I turned 50 and I became an empty nester, I thought that, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? What are my kids going to do without me? I actually said that, like, what are my children going to do without me? And well, I really was probably saying, what am I going to do without my children? Because I was so focused, the conversation, the things, just giving them all the tools I thought they needed and, just making sure they had everything. And it just kicked me right into reality. Like, wow, you are now on the other side of your life. You are on the other side of your life. Like, man, if someone would have told me in my 40's to like prepare and to take time and to think about just emotionally how that was going to feel and what that was going to look like, I just was not prepared. And I went right into my 50's and just got kicked into reality. I realized at that time that I kind of lived for everybody else, and I mean, I thought that's what you do, as a mom, you just do, make sure everybody has everything. And I just was out here trying to survive. And I really wasn't thinking about my own life really afterwards. I mean, there was a time when I thought, okay, when the kids get out the house, that's when I'll go back to school. I'll think about me after that. I remember, okay, there was a time I did remember saying that, but man, uh, sh- thinking about me should have come sooner than after everybody's out the house because then it's like I'm starting from scratch. I'm like starting from where am I going with this? And, who said that 50 years old, you had to be, that was the end of life. You didn't have anything else going for you after 50. That was just it. You turn 50. Oh, maybe you'll go back to school. Maybe you'll get into some certifications. Maybe you'll do that. I don't know. But so that really hit me really hard. Like, man, I was not prepared. So, yes, I mean, I had my degree, but, as far as just getting further education and getting something, I'm like, I'm 50. And, furthering your education just wasn't as easy as I was thinking when I was in my 40's. I'm like, like when the kids, get out of high school and they go to college, I'll think about it then. Little did I know. This is a warning. Like I said, if you are in your 40's, start planning and start preparing now, especially if you have children, and you move into that new part of your life. It's best to start planning for things that what you're going to do. Finding out, like I said, finding out who you are because I just experienced so much emotions in that time. Like I said, when the children were gone, I went through so much emotions and a little bit of anxiety because I thought that, what am I going to do without my children? You know, um, I had my husband, my children, my home, all that was beautiful and it was great. But I never really thought, like, man, I was just oblivious. And, if you're not careful, if you have children and you're living in that hustle and bustle, like I said, this is a warning, you can easily lose yourself and forget your own identity. Because I definitely had my identity in my husband and in my children, which I should have. I mean, I should think about that. But you could get so lost in that sometimes that you could not realize that you are losing who you are and your purpose for your life. So I realized that I had to let them go. My resolve in my mind was, okay, my children are in college and I am home. My house is quiet. I'm an empty nester. I'm you know, it's just me and my husband. w- I have to let them go, because they were even still at the time, they were still calling and, saying good morning through text. They were going to 2 different schools, and had a group text, and they were still saying good morning, and they were still saying good night, like, every night and every morning. And so, that was okay for a while, but I just realized, you know what? I cannot have them, hold on to that. Like, they're adults. Like, my parents didn't do it, and I can't have them hold on to saying good night and saying good morning every day. And they're trying to do their thing. They're trying to live their life. They're trying to figure this thing out. And the most important thing I can say that we gave our children, what helped me kind of let them go, is because we gave them an anchor. We gave them something to live their life through, and that was the experience of knowing Jesus. We gave that to them because I know that the experience of knowing Jesus and having a relationship and having that anchored in their life, that would give them the best direction that we could have. That would give them the best direction. Like, we could, even when we're not there, we gave them something to anchor themselves in. So I that's what helped me be stronger in letting them go and letting them have that life, and letting them experience their relationship with God on their own. That was just the best thing that we could do, because God could do more for them than, or having that anchor, He could do more for them than we could ever do for them. So that helped me kind of recover, and just knowing that they could trust Him. Now, what they did with that anchor, what they did with what we taught them, that's between them and God. But I can tell you that that helped me uh, push forward in just releasing them and just letting them go, so that I can move on with my life. Yes, of course, they still contacted us, but they didn't have to, like, say good morning, and they didn't have to say good night every night. Like, I had to release them and let them go and let them fly in life. So, and then when I started to do that, I started to just say, okay, got that out the way. Okay, I'm on resolve with that. So now what's next? What other things am I having anxiety about? I've been married for 32 years. So I was like, babe, like, talking to my husband, like, what's gonna happen to our relationship? We focused on our children so much. We focused on raising them and providing a life for them. So I was also had a little bit of anxiety about how our relationship was going to go. What would we talk about? What was our dynamic going to be like? So that was just something I just never thought about. Like I said, hit me at 50, my golden age, where I'm supposed to be, have my most strength and most refinement and know the season of my life. So I was lost. So that's why I said, if you're a 40s and you're approaching 50, it's time to think about that even sooner. But definitely, if you're 40s approaching 50s, start thinking about what it would be like when you become that empty nester, when you hit that next side of your life where it's the other half of your life, your future. And then, so in that, I just had to remind myself, why did I get married? Why did we get married in the first place? And the aspect of our relationship was definitely based off of love. Definitely based off of love. But we didn't have children, and we didn't bring children together until 3 years after we were married. So I had to remember, how did this thing get started in the very first place? So once I talked to my husband about that, and we kind of shared our own desires and about moving forward as empty nesters, then that's all it took. That's all it took to get me to that place where, like, okay, so I've resolved my children being out the house. And because it was an emotional thing. You like really have raised them and took care of them and nurtured them and done all this stuff. And now all of a sudden, poof, they're gone. After 18 years, it's just like, what do you do? So, and then, how is my relationship going to be? And so it was just a beautiful thing. I'm so thankful that we had those discussions. Communication is so good to have. And so that really just kind of eased things. But I'll tell you 3 habits that I want to take with me into this new season of my life and my golden era, because I can definitely feel the sense of the golden era, what it means now, that I have the strength, and I'm refined in the perfect season in my life, the right time for me right now. I can definitely start to feel that, once I settled those anxieties that I had about being an empty nester and how I was going to be in the house, this big old house, and it's just quiet now. But so the first thing I started to do was rearrange my thinking. That was a habit I did. I just want to rearrange my thinking. Like after I was able to settle that, I could rearrange my thinking, align my inner thoughts with what God was saying, and just remember those things that I always wanted to do. I had to remember those things that brought me joy, those things that brought me to me. It helped me remember me because, and not just as a wife and a mom, although that was one of my greatest honors to be a mother and to be a wife. That was such a blessing. But God was saying there's more purpose for me outside of that. I had to acknowledge that God, there's a purpose for my life outside of being a wife and a mother. I'm always going to be that, right? But I mean the wife and the mother that I was with little ones in the house. And so he had to show me, hey, there's plenty of things I have in store for you. So I had to acknowledge that side of my life and just reinvent that title for me. So that was the first thing that I did. So the second thing that I did, I definitely increased my prayer life because having now the little extra free time in the house is quiet. Now it's like, okay, what do you do with your time? You don't just fill it up with things. I filled it up with God. Okay, let me get back to what you were saying. That's about aligning myself. So I started praying. The prayer wasn't for God. The prayer was for me, because I feel like God was always speaking to me. God was always speaking to me. But because, hustle and bustle, kids and fast life and picking them up and, God was always speaking. Sometimes I got half the message, but God was always speaking to me. And so by me being realigning myself and rethinking and getting my prayer life back, start praying more and settling myself, I was able to hear God's voice more clear. I was able to draw closer to him because why? I'm not so just okay, God, pray my quick prayer and it's done. My prayer life would just got deeper. And so that definitely helped me. And I was able to hear God's voice a little bit clearer. So this third habit, this was the reinvention part. This third habit. So it started from, like I said, realigning myself and then increasing my prayer life. Said the increasing your prayer life is definitely for me. It's definitely for me. It's not God doesn't necessarily need me to pray. He wants me to pray for me so I can hear what he has to say. So in that, this third step, this is where it happened. God started flooding me with new ideas. God was flooding me so much with ideas and things. Man, I could hardly write them down fast enough. I was journaling. I was doing like, as soon as I wake up in the morning, I get my phone, I could talk in my voice memo. Like I was getting flooded with so many God ideas. I'm like, Lord, it's because I was settled. It's because now I was able to hear God in a different way. I was realigning my thoughts with him and he just started flooding me. And I was getting that me time back, that me time, finding out the things that I enjoy, finding out the things that I love to do and just getting that back. So I missed that. And so the God ideas were just coming to me and I just never knew how I would get to the place that I was hearing God say. I just never thought like, okay, God, I hear what you're saying. I hear all these things that you're telling me to do. But in this journey, how do I do those things? And in that, me asking God, how do I get to the place where I hear him telling me, I'm writing this stuff down, I'm hear how it sounds. Okay, God, so how do I get there? Because where I am right now and where I'm thinking is like, how I'm going to get there. And God pointed me to this scripture. He pointed me to the scripture of Galatians 1:10, where it talks about if I am so busy pleasing people or pleasing human beings and then hearing God's voice and hearing God say something and then I'm not listening to God, I'm not obeying what God is saying. It says, who are you pleasing, God or man? I'm summarizing. Who are you pleasing, God or man? And God had me write down this. Hashtag done with people pleasing. That's what I got out of that, reading that scripture. I'm done with people pleasing because a lot of times you think about that's what's probably holding you back. That's what was holding me back. Just not, listening to someone else's voice, telling you what you can and cannot do, worrying about what somebody's going to think, worrying about someone's going to say. I mean, it's just no place for that. When you are in this golden era of your life and you're on the other side of the future of your life, it is no time to be worrying about what somebody is saying and pleasing other people and worrying about what they think because that's what's holding you back. And that's what was holding me back. So I just decided I was not going to stick there and just stay there and do that. So what I started doing was I started saying yes to my future. I started saying yes to my future. And saying yes to my future doesn't mean that I was just saying yes and that I was going out striving, doing all these things. That's not what it means. It's just saying, yes, God, when you tell me something and I'm hearing your voice and you're saying something, and I'm writing it down, I'm saying yes to the idea. I'm saying, God, I'm going to allow that yes to cultivate my life because in the saying yes, God was showing me that's where opportunities are going to be open for you when you say yes. Because if in your heart you're still scared, and you're still not, worried about what somebody's going to think, worried about what someone's going to say, God can get through the thick weeds. So God was like, okay, I'm going to need you to have that yes spirit in you. So I was like, okay, God, I'm over 50. I'm going to start having this yes. I'm going to cultivate my yes in me. I'm going to see what you're saying and what I'm saying yes to. I'm going to see what you're saying. And that is what I started doing. So I want you to write down in the chat because in 2026, what we're going to say is, here we come. Here we come. If that's you, if you can say, God, I want nothing to hold me back. I want to start cultivating my yes that you give me, things that you have told me to do, things that you have put in my heart, things that you have said that you desire for me to do, God. Yes, I'm going to cultivate my yes. And in 2026, type in the chat, here we come. Because if that's you, that's what I want you to type in there. We're not letting fear hold us back. We're not letting what someone says. We're not listening to the negativity. We're not going to do that. Even if you have to do it afraid, even if you have to do it scared, even if you have to do it nervous, or even being unsure. Because I'm telling you right now, there's so many times I go and I do the yes and I'm unsure. I'm nervous. I'm afraid sometimes, but I do it because God's yes and his opportunity screams louder than the enemy's no. It has to scream louder in your ear to want to do, and want to please God more than you want to please man. That has got to be the number one thing. If that's not the number one thing, then you're not going to be fulfilled in this next season of your life, at this golden era of your life. You're not going to be fulfilled because you're going to still be worrying about what somebody's thinking, what somebody doesn't like, what somebody said, who has a problem with it, what's the issue. It's going to be so many things. But when you just shut that noise down and you just say, God, I'm pleasing you. I'm just going to say yes. I'm going to say yes to a fulfilled life. I'm just going to say yes. And here I come. Here I come. And that's me. Here I come. 2026. Here I come. I'm starting it now. I'm not going to wait. Here I come. So your voice has a purpose. Your voice has a word. Your voice has meaning. And so that's what you have to say. You have to remember those things when you try to not release those things and not let it get out. It has to come out. This is for you. I want to motivate you to do those things that you always wanted to do. You always knew God was saying that to you and you never could get it done. But now is your time. Here we come. You know what? Allow me to reintroduce myself. Put yourself in that blank. Put yourself in that blank and say it out loud. Reintroduce yourself to yourself. And I want you to be the best version of yourself that you can be. And until next time, bye.